Alright, so I figured I would just dive right into the 820, mostly because I don't like things that are sitting around that are very leaky, particularly ones that leak diesel fuel or any type of really flammable liquid. And the 820 is leaking diesel fuel, and at the same time I don't want to store it outside because it is in decent condition, so there's no really reason to store it outside. So we're going to fix the fuel problem. Now, I've already taken the hood off, and I can't remember if I said this in the first 820 video, but I'm learning. So yeah, you're going to learn right along with me. If you know more about these than I do, which a lot of people will, feel free to chime in. If not, you know, watch along as we go. So I'm kind of learning as we go along. But anyway, so the biggest problem is this fuel filter assembly right here. Leaks. You can tell even after I shut the tractor off, you can see how the oil dries completely covered in diesel fuel. And so there is a gasket behind that oil filter, fuel filter assembly. So we have our sediment bowl right here, and then we have two fuel filters. And so behind this assembly, it's going to be leaking, and it leaks down here. You can kind of tell right there. One of my lights blew out in the shop, so I'm kind of grasping at straws with handheld lights. But you can kind of see the fuel filter assembly there and how diesel is just leaking out from underneath that. So went to Deere today and ordered 2 new fuel filters, and I have those. And one of the great things that or one of the great reasons that I have John Deere products is because I can go into a dealership and order filters and walk out with them most of the time the same day. Won't say it's always going to be the case, but how many times can you do that on a something from 1957? Not many dealers still do that, or major manufacturers still do that. Maybe Caterpillar does it. Caterpillar's got some pretty good part support. But anyway, so once the gaskets come in for that, hopefully they'll be here Friday, I'm going to pull that filter assembly off and replace it. And I'll replace the fuel filters at the same time. So might want to just go through my goodie bag that I got today. Let's see here. Using my snowblower here as a bench. So here are my 2 fuel filters. Obviously they've been around quite a while. And then I went ahead and got oil filters. So these are actually new. They're hydraulic oil filters, but they'll count as oil filters for the engine. AR 75603, that's a sub part number that comes up for the original number, which, if I can find my notebook here, sorry about the reach there. The original filter number was AR1400R, and then that sub to that AR 75603, and then the 2 O-rings that came along with it. They're additional. And so there's those, and then I also ended up with 2 new thermostats. So haven't unboxed those yet. So one of the other problems I'm having with this tractor, as I mentioned in one of my first videos, is you can see that I need to do something about the water pump. And so let me see if I can get my light in here. You can kind of tell down in there, I think, that my water pump is leaking, and at the same time it's loose. And so the water pump needs to be replaced. Well, to replace the water pump, I need to pull this tube out because the thermostat is going to sit right in here. So I will have to some point have to pull the thermostat, that tube out, and then pull the thermostats out to replace the thermostats. Now what I've considered doing while I was at it, was going ahead and replacing the core of the radiator, since it does look kind of grungy when you pull the radiator cap off. But I think for right now I'm going to go ahead and forego that. And I may actually see if I can't find, because as I look at it, it looks like this pipe's been welded. So I may try to find a new pipe or something I can consider doing. But anyway, so that's the kind of the big things right now. So I'm going to fix the thermostat on the radiator, replace the water pump, and then replace the gasket behind the fuel filter assembly. And the injection pump, or the injector pump, is somewhere in there. I don't have a service manual yet. I probably won't do all that much until I have a service manual, mostly because if you've watched my videos in the past, I really like service manuals, and they kind of tell you what's going on, and I keep looking and I keep finding little things in here. So you can also tell one of the other problems I have is the fact that you see all that oil around the muffler. So I've gone ahead and I've actually ordered a couple of gaskets. I know that's not going to fix my oil problem, but I've ordered a couple of the gaskets for the muffler. I'll probably go ahead and put a chrome stack on this with a tip that points out. That way I'm not continually getting oil in my face. But as you can kind of see that the pony motor is completely covered with oil. Now I don't know if that's a function of, the fact that it hasn't been worked or what. So that's something that we'll have to determine at a later date. But I really need to get the thermostat replaced, because if it's just the engine not being able to get warm, which I can go ahead and tell you that it is not getting warm, even at high throttle or high idle, it's just not getting warm. And so, I drove it probably an hour the other day trying to get it warm, and it's just not doing it. So now I realize that I can't put it under a load, so that's something that I need to consider. But given that, and I know there's a history of these machines that they don't particularly like to idle a lot, they like to work. So we'll see if replacing the thermostats and getting this engine a little hotter will help fix my oil problem, because I've got oil specks all over the dash, and anytime you drive it, oil's getting on you because it's coming out of the exhaust pipe. But so now that I've rambled on for 7 minutes and 30 seconds about doing stuff, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull the exhaust off, do a couple of things, and I'm not really sure. Probably going to service the air filter. I already changed the oil in the oil bath air filter for the main engine, and I'll probably go ahead and change the oil in the little engine, in the pony engine as well. But yeah, so if I get much progress today, I'll either split this into 2 videos or leave it as 1 video, because this is already 8 minutes. So hopefully that's a little bit informative, not nearly as exciting as normal, but this is going to be kind of a long haul project. So hope you enjoy. So after I turned the camera off, I got to pondering a little bit about the welds here on the radiator pipes. And then it occurred to me that most likely whenever our little accident happened down here on the frame, like I said in my first video, where you've got the frame and the crack in the frame was welded, I'm guessing that this damage occurred at approximately the same time. And basically when the tractor either fell apart or cracked, it also cracked basically the ears on this tube right here. And so that's why that was repaired. Kind of interesting. I'll keep looking for little damages like that and see exactly how bad it was. I'm suspecting that was probably not a fun ride if it actually came apart. But like I said, I'll try to source a new radiator tube or a used radiator tube. I'm sure they're not available new, and see what I can come up with. So kind of interesting. Like I said, I still plan in the future I'll replace that entire front clip there, or that front assembly, at some point in the future. So I'll be back in here. It's not like it's going to be the last time I'm in here. That's just a couple years away. I'd really like to find non-running 820. Something along those lines that I can steal some parts from and get this one running, because I don't know, kind of rambling here, but I don't know if my oil problem's a symptom of the engine being weak, although it doesn't feel weak. I mean, it starts right up. It doesn't seem to have any problems other than the oil coming out of the exhaust. So anyway,